Welcome to Webster Now with your host, Garrett Wagner.
There's a decision coming and it's yours to make. This November, a handful of names will land on your ballot. These are the very people asking people to make the calls about your roads, your sewers, your taxes, your town. But most years, you only ever meet them through a lawn sign or a slogan, but not this time. I sat down with two of the three candidates running for Town Supervisor this year in Webster, Sean Hanna and Kevin Lockhart. Kevin recently entered the race on the independent line. Many Webster residents will recognize Kevin from his frequent participation in town affairs and his active presence on social media. You can learn more about Kevin by checking out him on Facebook. Now, as always, both candidates received the same question, and nothing was handed to them ahead of time in order to keep the playing field fair between them. This month, we're talking about finances, which means the budget, the one thing that touches every resident in town. Where it's headed, what they do with it, what they protect, and what they cut. Some of what you're here is going to surprise you. Some of it's going to confirm exactly what you already figured. Either way, you're going to hear it straight from the candidates themselves, back to back. So you can do one thing alongside never lets you do. Compare and contrast. And the timing matters, because budget season is just kicking off. Over the next few months, a process most people never watch is going to influence your taxes, your real estate taxes, for Webster Town 2027. So before you hear from the two people asking to run it, let's talk about how the process works and when you get a say in it, because that's important. Now, just a quick reminder, everything here today is my perspective only. Nothing said reflects official town policy or action. My job isn't to tell you who to pick, it's to put them in front of you and let you decide. So here's the question you should be asking yourself as you listen. Not to the ads, to the candidates. Who do you trust with Webster? So let's get into it. Before we bring in the candidates, let's briefly recap where Webster is in the budget process. Now, we've broken this down before on Webster Now, so this is a quick refresher. Setting the budget is one of the core jobs of the town board. It's the plan for how your tax dollars get spent for the year. A couple years back, when we last dug into it, it ran around $42 million a year. Town employees made up half of that, and the rest was spread across police, library, highway department, sewer, parks and rec, all the pieces that keep Webster running and, come on, amazing. And here's where the 2027 budget process sits today. The departments have turned in their numbers, and the board is in budget meetings going line by line with each department head. The part you can actually watch starts at the end of July. Two super exciting live stream budget workshops, July 30th and August 6th, both at 4:30, where department heads talk about their numbers in public. Sounds like a great time. The tentative budget gets filed at the end of August. The full preliminary budget goes on the town website and in Webster Today on October 1st. So you'll be able to read the whole thing for yourself. So you can read. And that night, you mark your calendars, October 15th. That's the public hearing. And it's your formal chance to stand up and say your piece. It's also the final adoption vote, both the same evening at 7:30. The legal deadline to lock it in is December 10th. So that's the clock we've got this year. Keep the budget in the back of your mind as you listen, because how someone thinks about it tells you a lot about what kind of Webster they envision for all of us. Now let's hear from the candidates for Webster's next town supervisor. All right, Webster residents, we're here, candidate interviews. We're back with a new candidate, Kevin Lockhart. Kevin, congratulations for making it on the ballot. That's not an easy task.
Thank you, Garrett.
How much work was that to get all those signatures?
It was insane.
Right? I mean, so I give you credit because this is not easy. So this is Kevin's first interview. So Kevin, here's the process. You get one question. We got 5 minutes. I'm going to start the timer. All right. So in your mind, if you're the town supervisor, how would you think about the town budget and the things that come with that?
So the question is, if I were the town supervisor, how would I think about the town budget and everything that comes along with that? So the town budget itself is managed in large part by Paul Adams. He's our chief finance officer. Mm-hmm. So you're also an accountant by trade.
Yes. Yep.
Your profession.
Me. Yep.
So you guys are really critical to understanding and developing the budget itself. I really want to see a flat tax levy for practical effects in the next budget, it's probably going to be halved due to the assessments being doubled. So what I expect from the town board, and I spoke with Paul Adams about this at town hall, is what I expect and what I want to tell residents is they can be confident that there's not going to be more than a 2% increase in the tax levy for practical effects. That being said, once I determine what the neighborhood codes actually look like in the assessments, and upon reviewing that, which I would like to review with you and the other members of the town board and the staff, is I just want to make sure that the way the bell curve is distributed, that overall there's a 0% increase. I think that the law allows a 2% increase. I want to see a 0% increase because of the national trends that are emerging, the inflation rate, the consumer price index, and the gas prices, things that we can't affect in Webster. Webster is a fantastic place to live. I'm very, very concerned about the future of Webster, and I want to just make sure that national trends are not affecting the people in Webster. But in terms of the budget itself, I view everything through ratios. When I ask questions of you guys, of you or Paul, the way that I understand things is through ratios.
Okay.
One way that the ratios are expressed is through the pie graph. So I want to be able to see and understand, in comparison, in proportion to everything else, what's going out, what's coming in. You know, the pie graph shows the revenue is made up of mostly property assessments. Well, if the property assessments double, then how does this affect the other pieces of the pie? And once that money comes in, which is a big ask for residents to contribute that much, I mean, there's a lot of expectations when you pay that much to live in a town or live in any municipality where you're kicking back, you know, village taxes, town taxes, county taxes, state taxes.
School. Don't forget the school.
Woo! the school taxes, man, that it's just too much. So I really want to play hardball on this issue, and I'm going to set my expectations pretty high for the town board and for the budget moving into 2027. Great question, Garrett. Appreciate that.
So with that, how do you then balance keeping the budget low and things for the town? You know, how do you find that sweet spot between, okay, we want to reduce spending, but what do we need critically? You know, how do you balance those two conflicting things? It's always the challenge.
The question is, how do you maintain the budget, but also give the town what it needs to function?
Correct.
We have, I want to say 15 departments when I counted, but...
Looser, yeah, you can just say 15 to start with.
So I want to have meetings. One of my regrets right now is that it's difficult. It's not impossible, but it's somewhat difficult to go in every week and have a Monday morning meeting with the directors, although I still will do it. It's just not, it just is weird because I'm not the town supervisor right now. So I go in and I say, hey, what do you need? How can we reduce the budget? And to your point, the school budget is proportionally enormous compared to the town, but it's not my responsibility to supervise the school district. The taxpayers voted for the budget in the school district.
Yep.
They want the budget to grow. I can't, that's the people of Webster deciding that. I respect that. That being said, I want to be able to instill some confidence in the people in Webster that I'm doing everything I can as collaboratively as possible to ensure that the expenses, the capital spending, and the spending in general towards the infrastructure and towards the departments are not being embellished, or that it just doesn't need to be in extravagant things. It's like, let's just get down to brass tacks. What do you need? What can we do without? And I want to be able to justify the spending when I talk to residents and say, hey, we're not spending more than we need, but you're still getting the services that you need. Sorry if that wasn't a great answer to your question.
That's an excellent point at the end. Give them what they need, balance the budget as best you can, make some hard decisions, right?
Hey, I trust that you guys at Town Hall and the Town Board and the residents all together are going to counsel me, and I can just be there for you into the future.
Perfect.
I just trust you guys. I trust the residents and the administrators that you're giving me good information to act upon, and we just do the best that we can. It's not a perfect world. If it were, we would be
Different place.
we would be in a different place.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you next month for the next round of questions. All right. Take care, everybody. All right, Webster folks, we're back. Dreary day. Sean, thanks for making the time.
Not at all. Thank
We're
you.
continuing our candidate series, and now we've got an expanded field, but we're still here. All right, Sean, big question this month, okay? This is one really important to residents, the town budget. So if you think about your role that you might be in as a town supervisor, how do you think about the town budget?
Well, actually, it's different from other county budgets. From other government budgets. If you're talking about federal or state budgets, for example, they have a lot of policy involved. They decide how much social spending the governments are expected to provide, and they tax accordingly. And it's a very different sort of animal. At the county, it's a little bit different, and it's more difficult because the state decides much of the spending that the counties have to impose, but then they don't give the counties the revenue to spend on it. They say, okay, counties, it's up to you to raise your own taxes. And that puts the counties in a very difficult position because it's almost like the state has the county credit cards. But when it comes down to the town, now you're talking about potholes and parks. I mean, you're talking about delivering nuts and bolts services at a very local level. And to that end, most of a supervisor's responsibility is drawing on his business experience, hopefully his own businesses in the past. He knows how to run a business, knows how to run a government, and knows how to deliver services efficiently.
So a big thing with that is the different priorities between cutting spending and providing services for residents. So how do you kind of try and balance that teeter-totter in your mind?
Well, it depends where we are from a debt standpoint, and it depends where we are from a spending standpoint. Remember, the tax base in Webster especially is always growing as we have more development, we have more growth. The aggregate value of all of the properties combined means that the tax levy goes up. The tax levy is the total number of dollars that taxes pull out of a community. So even if town tax rates are perfectly flat, as they should be, the town is still getting more money every year to spend. So it's not always a case where you have to choose between cutting spending and keeping taxes in line, because there's some padding that's already built into the formula.
That's good to think about because residents care about that. That's one of their biggest things. You said potholes, and then what's the real estate tax bill going to be?
Right.
And it's a big ship to steer.
It is. It means, and again, this goes back to my initial remarks, that you have to run it like a business. You're talking about using other people's money, and not just their money that you take from them. They don't give it to you voluntarily, so you have a tremendous responsibility to make sure that they're spent efficiently. So you just have to decide what services are absolutely necessary and then make sure that those services are delivered in as cost-efficient manner as you can.
And then, Sean, you mentioned like business owner mentality. Business owner, it's your money.
Yep.
Now the town, it's not your money. How did you find that, or a county or a state, how do you find that dichotomy between business owner, it's all mine, versus elected official, it's literally everyone else's?
It probably depends upon your personality. There are a lot of people in politics who say, hey, it's not my money, we can spend it any way we want to. I take sort of the opposite approach. Because it's not my money, I take it a whole lot more seriously than if it were. You have a tremendous responsibility not to waste other people's money, especially because not only is it their money, but you've taken it from them. You've taken it from them against their will. And it's necessary, but the fact of the matter is, because you've done it that way, you've got to be very, very careful about how you spend it.
And I will, just to clarify, maybe not totally against their will. Real estate taxes are legal.
No, I don't know anybody wants to pay
Correct.
the tax.
Now, they might not want to pay it. I think we just got to draw that distinction between the legality of against their will and
It's legal, but it's not voluntary.
Correct.
That's right.
So with that, we're going to end. Sean, thank you as always for stopping by.
Thank you very much.
That's all for this month. Same question, equal opportunity to voice their intentions. And I've got something a campaign flyer can't give you. The actual answers side by side. And this is just the latest update in our ongoing supervisor candidate interviews. Stay tuned to hear more from your candidates for Town Supervisor. It's an important role, and you get to choose it with your vote. More budget updates will be coming as the process moves forward. And here's what I'd like to ask of you. Don't let it stop here. That budget timeline I walked through is real. The workshop in late July, the public hearing on October 15th, and your vote, they matter. The people you just heard are asking to make the calls on your behalf. The least we can do is show up informed. Now, if this was useful, like, follow, and share with a fellow Webster resident. The more of us paying attention, the better every one of these decisions gets made. And as always, every step we take is a step towards a better Webster.
You've been watching Webster Now with Garrett Wagner. Join us next time for more local news and updates.